What's up guys? So if you've been doing photography or any creative hobby for quite some time, you've probably gone through periods where you've lost motivation and that sort of thing. In this video, I'm going to kind of touch on that and how, depression links to creative demotivation, pushing through slumps, that sort of thing. I'm not a therapist, so this is just my opinion, but maybe you might find some value in it, so let's get into it. So some quick history on my creative journey is I got into photography back in technically 2013, but I got my first camera in 2015 as a graduation gift for high school. And at that point, I was mostly just, taking pictures to get recognition, get a lot of likes on Instagram, upvotes on Reddit, likes on Facebook, that sort of thing. I was just trying to create pictures that people thought were amazing, so to speak. And then eventually in 2018, I took a trip to Glacier National Park. I actually took a summer job there, so I stayed in Glacier National Park, Montana for about 3.5 months doing a front desk job. And during that time, obviously, I was taking beautiful pictures because, it's the most beautiful place on earth, in my opinion. But in any case, that trip is transformative for me for, many reasons in my life. But, a big thing with my photography is I noticed that I was a bit more interested in documenting my experiences and documenting my life over just creating beautiful, technically immaculate images. On that subject, I've fallen into, many creative slumps, over my 10-ish years of practicing photography. And unfortunately, I don't have any advice for that. I mean, there's been a couple of periods where I've ended up selling most of my camera gear due to just being demotivated or, not being able to pay my rent on time. I actually shot the entirety of 2020 on my A6000 and a $30 vintage lens, the Canon FD 50mm, so that was interesting. But yeah, if you're watching this video, you're probably going through a creative slump in your photography journey, and you're wondering how do I get my spark back, so to speak. I can't really give great advice on that. I can just, tell you that it worked for me over the years. Your first reaction might be to buy new equipment. Whenever I buy a new camera or a new lens, I end up going out to shoot with it for a week and having a great time. And then, just like anything new, it just, it becomes less and less appealing. And then you're back in the same, position where you're not feeling motivated to go out and shoot. So in that vein, I say, try to find a reason to shoot. For me at this point, I have this photography YouTube channel and, I'm occasionally testing lenses and cameras. So I need to go out and use this equipment to shoot, so I can share the videos, the sample photos, and everything like that with you guys. So that is my biggest motivation, growing this channel, making some side money, that sort of thing. So yeah, for you kind of just gotta find something that motivates you. I know that sounds very stupid, but there's been periods throughout my life, before I started this YouTube channel, obviously this is the motivator for me now. But, I've given myself a challenge, only shooting with a particular type of lens for 2 weeks, or, trying to capture a certain thing in my city at different times of the day and that sort of thing. And there's photo groups. I know my dad and I are based on this photography group with some friends of ours on Facebook, where they give a challenge every month and you have to, go out and take pictures. So, silly stuff like that. It sounds silly, but honestly, it is a big motivator. And then, like I mentioned earlier, a big motivator for me besides the YouTube channel here is to just document my life. I want to leave a bit of a legacy behind. I'm not trying to become the most famous photographer who has ever lived, obviously. But, I like having a huge catalog of photos to look back on. I do a good bit of traveling, and, don't travel on credit, kids. Don't make my mistake. But in any case, I've done a good amount of traveling for my age. And bringing my camera everywhere with me was great because now I can look back 5 to 10 years later and I have entire photo albums. So if someone is hey, how was your trip to Spain, for example, I can open up that photo album in Google Photos, and then I just have these high quality images that I can show them, and I can kind of tell them the stories and everything like that. And then besides that, I think you just need to think outside the box, or maybe outside the camera, so to speak. But in any case, then the COVID lockdown first started. I ended up moving back in with my parents because I had no money and no job, and I didn't have a vehicle, and they live in the middle of nowhere. So going out to shoot besides their backyard was not really an option. So what I ended up doing is, you know, I have a nice gaming PC, so I hopped into games like Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption, and GTA 5, and just had a ton of fun with those, like, the photo trees in those games for, like, you know, a few weeks until I could buy a car again. And it felt kind of strange, you know, driving around the streets of Los Santos in GTA, trying to, like, take pictures, you know, in a game that's about, like, crime and, you know, gang stuff. But it was a very interesting experience, and it helped me, like, practice my composition and eye, and it was just a good time. So, you know, if you're a bit of a gamer and you've got a nice computer, or I guess a nice console, open up the photography mode in your favorite game and just see what you can create. And then, yeah, that leads me to my last point, and that's to find inspiration. Like, I'm a big believer that you shouldn't compare your photos or your videos to other people. Like, you know, you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody in life, so to speak, except for your past self, I think. But in any case, you know, find some photographers or content creators that motivate you. In my case, I like traveling, and I also have social anxiety, so I don't really speak with many people when I travel. And that's why channels like Yes Theory, I don't know if you know them, but pretty much they go to lesser traveled countries, speak with the locals, like get the, like, inside scoop on everything that's going on by, like, you know, speaking to the real humans that live there. Not like tourist attractions, but like actually speaking to people. And then in that same vein, there's another channel. He goes by the name of Peter Santinello, and he pretty much, like, documents, like, controversial locations, you know, like the hood of Chicago and, like, the deep south of the US and that sort of thing. And those guys really inspire me in the future. I haven't created any content like that yet, but that's what I'm aiming to do on my personal channel in the future as I get more, like, you know, time, skill, and most importantly, confidence. So, you know, find creators that motivate you, think outside the box, you know, set yourself, like, a challenge or a goal, and at the end of the day, you know, it's okay to take a break from your creative endeavors. You know, I've been doing photography for 10 years, and there's probably been, like, 5 different times where I didn't shoot for, like, 2-3 months at a time just because I wasn't feeling inspired, I was busy, I was depressed, and, you know, at the end of the day, it's okay. So yeah, guys, that sums it up. I appreciate if you got to the end. Thanks for listening to me talk about it. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, how about you go ahead and drop in the comments, you know, what motivates you to take pictures, and do you have any tips for getting out of, like, creative slumps? Is there anybody who inspires you, and, like, what do you want to do with your photography and videography in the future? Drop it down below. Thank you guys, and have a great day.